Well, hello 1L. We're going to be talking today about converting fractions, decimals, and percent. And our learning goal is I can successfully convert numbers from a fraction into a decimal and a percent. Kind of makes sense. So we're going to start by talking about fractions to decimals. First thing, you have to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about stuff. So I'm going to give you some definitions here. See this arrow pointing at the top number on a fraction? That is pointing to the numerator. Numerator. And this arrow pointing to the bottom of the fraction, that is the denominator. Okay. Now, how do you tell the difference between the two of them? Well, I always thought of the denominator as being down. Down and denominator both start with a D, so they're down, which means it's on the bottom. If you've got a better way, you can figure it out, but numerator is the top, denominator is the bottom. Now, to change a decimal to a decimal, all you really do is take the top and divide it by the bottom. That's it. Up and down. You go from the top to the bottom. Top divided by bottom. This little line here, that's another way of writing a division symbol. So top divided by bottom. And when you type it into a calculator, you're going to take the top number first, hit the divided by button, and then the bottom. So we'll do some examples here, and I'm going to pull out my calculator. There it is. Okay. So that we'll have a look at these. And 2 over 4. So we go 2 is the top, divided by 4 is the bottom, and we get 0.5. So that's 0.5, or another way of saying that is a half. 0.5. Now let's get the next one. 2 divided by 5 is 0.4. 0.4, or 4/10. Remember our work with place value. 4/5. So we go 4 divided by 5. That's 0.8. 0.8. And lastly, 1/3. We take the top, which is 1, divided by 3. Oh, this one goes on for a long time. It's a repeater. So the way we would signify that on here, first of all, I'm going to put an approximate symbol there, and we could put 0.3. Or another way we could do it, rather than using the approximate symbol and rounding it, we could say it's 0.3 and we put a dot over the part that repeats itself. Okay. So now we're going to talk about percent. To change any decimal to a percent, just multiply by 100. This means the decimal point just moves forward by 2 places. Another way of saying percent is we want to know how many hundredths something is. So if we're going back to our place value, percent means hundredths. So if we take a look at this one, we could plug this into the calculator, or we could just figure out how many hundredths this is. Which one is the hundredth column? This one, right? That's the hundredth column. So we take the 2 places that make up the hundredths and say that this is 62 hundredths, or 62%. Now you can put that 0.5 in there. It's probably a good idea to still say it's 62.5. Now this one here, and just to show you that we would have got the same thing if we multiplied that by 100, if I put 0.625 and times 100 in there, we get 62.5, which is what I got here. So same thing here. These first 2 things tell us how many hundredths we have, because this is the hundredths column. So it's 37.5 hundredths, and another way of saying that is percent. It's 37.5%. And now 4 divided by 5 is a fraction. So we just learned how to change a decimal into a percent, but nothing about a fraction into a percent. But that's okay, because we know how to change a fraction into a decimal. So let's change that fraction into a decimal. 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. So 0.8. There isn't a hundredths column in this one. It's just 0.8. It's 8/10. Remember that the first one is the tenths? Luckily, we can add as many zeros as we want out on the end here, though. I can add another 0 to it, and that means that it's 80%. Or the other thing you can do, let's pull our calculator back up. Once you've got it as a decimal, times by 100, which gives us 80%. So just multiply by 100. This means the decimal point moves forward 2 spaces. So this decimal just went 2 places forward, so it's now here, which makes it 80%. There's a bunch of different ways you can think about it, but they all turn out to be the same thing. So now you will have a worksheet to complete.